So if everybody's looked at the agenda, I guess you can approve that.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, I have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair, so aye, or vice chair, whatever. I guess we'll turn it over to staff.
Okay, hey, this is really just, sorry, I interrupted you, I apologize. Just an update, Tom's going to run us through several items here, just to keep you abreast of, things that are changing, updates, and, what the plans for the future are. Then we have a little bit of executive sessions to talk about some, other issues, okay? And you ready to go?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Item 1, 911 first responder. We're positioned to purchase the radio equipment. Total value is about $410,000. Purchase order should be issued on July the 8th. Just so you remember, the way the money has been allocated, there are actually 3 buckets of money. And this particular purchase will come out of the tax exempt funds, Zeke, that are now being held by the state on our behalf. It's about $2.47 million. We are in the process of doing the geotech study for the placement of a new tower on Point Lookout. The replacement tower and ancillary equipment, along with removing the current tower, will be about $234,000 out of our pocket, because the Tobacco Commission has agreed to let us use some of the money that was given to us and Carroll County, about $300,000, the very first grant in 2018. They've extended that and have agreed that we can use it to offset 50% of the cost of that. So that's a positive lift for us in terms of taking a little pressure off of our money that we have in reserve. We're also going to be purchasing the microwave equipment, $365,000. Target date is September the 2nd. The lead time on this is half of what the lead time is on the other equipment. And also, as we'll find out in a few minutes, we are filing for a federal grant for radio systems for the Carroll, Galax, and Grayson County. To me, it's kind of interesting. The money has already been earmarked by the feds, but we're now having to go back and file an updated application that gives more detail on the budget. And so really, really high probability we'll get the money. And for the region, it's $3 million. About almost 1.6 of that goes to what we consider on that committee to be regional equipment upgrades that benefits all 3 municipalities. And then each of the 3 municipalities have individual things they'll get. And so one of ours will be funding to offset, again, microwave equipment, because that's an eligible expense. So that's money we did not have in our budget. So again, that's a nice lift to help us and give us a little more reserve.
Well, I can ask you a question about that. We're getting ready to redo in that funding, there'll be money to redo the communication center. Now, I know the chairs have historically liked to have their own. I haven't done enough research on this, but we have 911 communication center here, Galax, which is a centralized center. Carroll also has their own people. My understanding, the sheriff's like to have their own people at their own shop. Is there not a thought that if we're going to go ahead and put $500,000 into a comm center, that we would do this on a regional scope, or am I going to get a ton of pushback from the SHers?
Well,
Just to have the discussion.
Yeah.
It's just a discussion.
you probably get some kickback with church.
And why? What's the thought behind that? Because they want to control the people.
I think maybe they have those employees there, which are competent positions. think they complement from so many positions and stuff. So I don't know who's that.
But if they're comp funded or state funded,
And they like having a call center. Now I'm kind of the opinion that it's kind of outdated itself having the individual call centers and stuff because I tell you, I've been up here night shift, very little going on after midnight still. So
that's what I was thinking.
it's just
It was just efficiency.
duplication.
It was duplication of effort. There was efficiencies to be gained when you centralize.
I would think so.
Well, it seems like we've already centralized the fire and rescue, so why didn't we this year? That's what it seems. We're gonna do one.
But I would imagine, I can't remember how many years back they revamped Carroll County's.
I mean, that in chaos, that's a tiny box, right?
Yeah.
We can lease space. I mean, if we want to spend the money to go ahead and redo a comm center, let's do one right. With the right, lease space or something like that, where we just go ahead and knock this out. I just didn't know what the hurdles that we have to jump through to make this happen. From my background, this is a very normal thing. You might have 10 agencies all into one, one comm center where you have administrators. You can, and generally, rack and stack calls, and you're also going over different states and counties and beyond. So
I haven't had much contact lately, in the last several years to know how they do it. When generally you could walk up to the sheriff's office and have contact with somebody in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's the case now or
The efficiencies, for example, out of the COPS grant, we're gonna spend $350,000 to upgrade Galax's CCOM center. We're gonna spend $191,000 for 3 recorders, whereas if it was consolidated, you'd have 1. And then some other miscellaneous equipment associated with that links the sheriff's departments to that center to give them interoperability. I believe is about another $78,000. So your $500,000 of what we're about to get to spend is going for that center.
To divvy it up between the 3.
Yeah, and then the other aspect of that is none of the 3 can keep full-time staff.
yeah, they're having problems.
They're having real trouble keeping staff, and I even suggested, of course, the chief of police, Mr. Cooper over there, we had a meeting, and I said, looks like if you just brought all 3 of them together, you'd have enough people to really cover effectively. Because none of them can keep the people.
It's easier from
Sounds
a staff
like-
perspective. Anytime you run a 24/7 operation, just creates 2 years of life.
Well, if EMS was really busy and the sheriff's office wasn't, they could help each other too, would be a good thing. So
If they're all having staffing problems, I would think you wouldn't get a whole lot of pushback. You should be pretty open to the idea.
Well, new equipment, there would be some limitations to our current old equipment. For example, Mike, out of the current money we're asking for, Carroll County's asking for $350,000 totally up to redo their sheriff's department, dispatch center. And there are some limitations with this old equipment in terms of communicating back and forth. But with the new equipment, I mean, you could put it all on one site and still have direct links to the sheriff's departments, volunteer fire and rescue people. I mean, we got a lot of overlap currently.
it seems it would make more sense to throw it to the other end out, on the patrol end to be able to get the better equipment to make the connections if you could do it. But there again, I can't speak for the sheriff.
No,
I've been pretty well removed for several years.
No, I got that. I just heard it's going to be problematic for the SO all of them. And so I was like, well, I didn't understand why.
who makes that decision? Sheriff's office?
Well, I don't know. We'll drive.
Well, when you say,
We're in partnership right now.
Well,
when you say we are spending money for, who's we?
it's the Tri-County, City, Carroll, Grayson, and Galax who've come together to the 911 Commission.
Okay.
So I don't know who makes the decision, but I can tell you the counties through the grant money are funding the devices. So, I mean, the sheriff he doesn't have the money. None of the sheriff's departments have the money. None of the police departments have the money. It's coming through the counties and the city of Galax.
And
State commission,
Pardon me?
but the sheriff's communication center does not come under the 911.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But they're asking for the money from the commission grant to upgrade their equipment.
Solid
So
run it.
we control the money, we might not control
it
it.
up here. And which they have, they can roll the calls up here now. But,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a contact person you can make in the middle of the night now or not. There's I just can't put down their call box or anything like that. So, I mean, if there's not someone there, I mean, I know there's a person inside dispatching, but if there's not a contact point, I don't know what would be the issue.
The one other issue which I think we often overlook is right now we got 3 centers to maintain. And, you know, one can go down, require a technician, the others operate, and they have ways of covering for each other. But right now, we basically have 3 different systems we're having to maintain.
Right.
So that's another cost as well as potentially, you know, you got him out in one place, you can't get him in another, so.
Just one more time, did you say that Carroll needs the entire $350,000
They need
just for Carroll?
$350,000 just for Carroll to upgrade their system.
So, and then there'd be about $205,000 savings from the other 2 areas you
Mhm.
mentioned.
It's about $500,000.
About
A little over
$500,000 that
$500,000,
we
actually.
could potentially save if we put everything on.
Yeah, we can allocate to other.
Now, that's
Thanks.
significant. I would open the communications for that.
I agree.
So, yeah, I'm on board too, but so Carroll, you think their sheriff's office wants to keep it in-house too? Is that?
I don't know the answer.
They probably all do.
My understanding, what I've heard, is that sheriff's office are very protective about that, having that, I don't know if they're right. They don't want to lose the control or those positions. And I don't know what that means exactly, because I'm thinking, well, they're either sitting there, or sitting in a centralized location, so they're still there.
So
Right?
Galax probably all about it. Galax
I would say.
police commissioner having it all right there.
I bet.
Well, I don't know that it has to be in the A-line, but.
Well, the only problem there, Zeke, is the room they have dispatch in is about 1/4 the size of this one.
Okay.
I mean, it's like a closet.
And they just did an upgrade a few years
Yeah,
ago.
I mean,
It's not, it's.
It was even smaller than.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
Are you, so am I hearing this that they would build a new one?
Well, we could do a couple of things. I don't know if we could build a new one. That would be something,
least.
probably lease the space.
Police arena.
Yeah, lease the space. Commercial spaces.
Okay.
For $500,000, I mean, we could.
I think at one time it was good spot, some talk about like crossroads or something like that. All that
That's
space.
Not a bad idea.
But I mean, that was a long time ago. I hadn't heard of it.
Just need parking in, secure area. I've done in the trailers. I've done, you know what I mean? We're gonna be doing thing trailers all the time across the country. They're not, it's not, just you gotta have the internet, get power, those things.
I don't really know that the space, I mean, is that big an issue? I mean, there's only so much
You can do.
you can do. I mean, given the higher population and everything, and what they running now, 4 dispatchers, I think.
I didn't mean to, just trying to see if there's a follow on that you guys have dealt with. So, okay.
I included in my comments.
Okay, 911 equipment deployment. Literally, Point Lookout will be the first place that we start, and that geotech work will be done the week after July 4th. And the tower bids have already come in, so we hope to start construction on the tower before the end of July. We will actually place new 911 equipment on 11 towers across the county. And that will include the new Point Lookout Tower. Believe it or not, the Park Service must have had a seizure because they now said we could use their tower to put some radio equipment on. And Grayson Highlands, which is unheard of. We've talked about putting a tower on Carsonville Road so that we can get better radio transmissions into Providence, down Carsonville to River Road, which has tends to be a blackout spot now. York Ridge, Fees Ridge are obviously two of the US Sailor towers. And then Pond Mountain Towers for a tower. We will start in July. It will take 17 months. The total cost allocated for the US Sailor towers are $568,000. And the other towers, which we're pricing, would be in the budgets for the 911 stabilization fund. So we've got the money budgeted. And of course, the US Sailor towers, the actual source of the money is the tax exempt bonds. We would expect to complete the entire project April of 2026. I will tell you that the contractors who guaranteed the cost of doing it say they can do it in 5 months less, but they haven't built a tower and put equipment in Grayson County in the winter. And so frankly, we requested that they extend that 5 months in their guaranteed commitment, and they did. And if they come in earlier, we'll praise them and tell them they're the most incredible contractors in the world. But at least by April of 26, the towers and the equipment will all be finished. Okay, item 2 is US Sailor. There are 11 landowners in the circles of preference, as they call it, for the York Ridge, Fees Ridge, and White Top Towers. I was telling Mike, US Sailor, according to the process we agreed to, sent letters asking people if they would be interested in discussing the tower. I'm getting flooded with phone calls over the past 48 hours, and everybody thinks it's a scam. But I'm assuring them it is not. And as I expected, when I tell them the county's plan and the county's participation in this, we already have a property owner for Fees Ridge and White Top who said we'll do it. And US Sailor says this probably will be the fastest 3 tower leases they've ever gotten in their lives. We're still talking to the people on York Ridge. Target date to complete the 3 leases will be September 15th. I have a running bet with one of the US Sailor people. It will be August 15th. The second part, after the leases are secured, will be a review by the FAA, the FCC, and the Department of Defense, because we are in a training flight path for the air base at Norfolk, the air base at Cherry Point, North Carolina, and now the air base in Goldsboro, North Carolina. So if y'all have noticed an increase in flyovers, that's why. Best guess for that is 6 months. 6 months. And DOD added 60 days on top of what the FAA gave us as their best case. Once we file all the paperwork, we obviously will begin working with the county to get special use permits, because these towers will exceed 100 feet. All 3 are going to be about 240 feet tall. And for us as a county, that typically takes at least 90 days. So we should have county permits before we probably have the FAA, FCC. Tower design. The good thing about working with a big company like US Cellular is they're poised to start work on final design plans, have those preliminary plans done by the January of 25. If we get the leases signed early, they will move that up, because that has to be part of the final review by the FAA and FCC. So we're talking January 25th. Final plans reviewed by everybody would be March of 25. With that, they will start on May 25th for the Fees Ridge Tower. That is the most critical US Cellular tower for our 911 project, because that will become the link between Central Grayson and Western Grayson. Literally, they'll start the York Ridge Tower in July of 25, And then they will start construction on the white top tower, which will be the last one, October of 25, and complete the project by April of 26. As towers are completed, we will be deploying the radio and transmission equipment for 911. So that'll be following, and we will not have to wait for all the towers to be finished. I will remind you that the total cost of the project by US Cellular is guaranteed to be $2.3 million. The 3 towers guaranteed maximum is 1.1 million. And that could come in less because one of the sites that we think we're going to get already has a road up to it. So that takes a lot of money out of it. And then last but not least, the equipment grant that we're doing for all the cellular equipment and broadband equipment will be 2.2 million. So again, we're within budgets that we've approved and reviewed. And then there will be a $200,000 holdback for county approval of tower and equipment placement. And we will contract with an engineering firm to do that on our behalf because we need the technical. So it's going to be busy next 18 to 24 months. Any questions about that?
When do we know the status on the grants? Like when are they approved? Because I'm assuming we're just in the application process.
Well, no, the grant that we are giving to US Cellular is coming out of the tax exempt money.
Okay.
So that money is already there.
Mhm.
It's being held, earning interest, because we haven't spent it yet.
Mhm.
The COPS grant,
Mhm.
we will not officially know about getting the money and when it's going to be in the bank account until the end of September.
September of this year.
The good thing is it is appropriated,
Mhm.
but there's still a chance that somebody at the federal level could change their minds.
Okay.
But we'll know that pretty quickly. And I would remind you, all of the US Cellular, all the 911 was budgeted and the money's there. So if the COPS grant falls off the table, it doesn't affect our projects. If it comes through, it just means we get about $300,000 to $400,000 that we can expect to have. So it gives us a little more flexibility.
Now, is that grant, is that what the senator and the congressman come to?
Yes.
Right.
So they presented it before we actually got it.
Mhm.
Imagine that, politicians.
Now, we've talked about it on the next page. It's titled COPS grant budget.
Hey, one second.
Okay.
I think the chair, one of his concerns was the land lease acquisitions. I think we talked
Oh,
about
yeah.
that land lease acquisitions. US Cellular got in front of us just a little bit on some of these, sent some letters out last time, was saying, but we started the conversations. People were calling here. We spent a lot of time talking about what this was, what's going on. Made sure that they didn't feel like we were not involved in what was taking place, and so it seemed to ease a lot of their concerns. I know I had spent some time with a couple of people, and Tom had too, so I think we're in good shape. I thought the land lease acquisitions were going to be still ones that could be an issue for us, but so far we're doing okay.
Yeah, and I've made it very clear to all these people, the county is not selecting the landowner. Because that's why I've been getting calls from people that heard about somebody else who had a call. And it's like, we want you to put our name in the hat so the county select us. And I said, no, county has nothing to do with it other than county's explaining the project. Yeah. US Cellular dictates who, where, and how much money.
And
So-
I just got a question, this may be a big thing, but I've gotten some questions from folks about T-Mobile's acquisition of US Cellular. Is that gonna take place before this is finished? Is there any effects on that?
Zeke, believe me, when I woke up and saw that, I almost lost my breakfast.
Yeah.
But I called the people in Chicago that are my contacts, and I said, okay, level with me, what's going on? And they said, this will not affect your project. T-Mobile is buying US Cellular's transmission equipment, not the towers. US Cellular is the largest designer and construction company and owner of cellular towers in the United States, and they are maintaining that. That's a $5.3 billion company by itself. But what it will do is like right here in good old Grayson County, when T-Mobile put their tower in, those of you who have US Cellular notice a degradation of US Cellular reception. It's because of conflicting signals. So in this case, when they buy US Cellular, they'll solve that problem and you'll get better service. So it has nothing to do with ours. Plus, the senior vice president there told me that in the purchase documents, our project, a project in Missouri, which is for 23 towers, a project in Southern Illinois, and now one in Montana were listed by name and all the details. And when T-Mobile agreed to buy US Cellular, they had to agree to maintain support for those projects based on the contractual commitments. Will not affect us. I actually think it lets
We
me.
have like black and white verification of that.
Yes,
Our,
we do.
we are on the list and they have to honor it.
They have to honor it. It's a condition of the buyout. Plus,
Grayson.
no, it's gonna be good for those of you in the eastern part of the county who've been giving me a hard time about lack of sales. And it's the conflicting signals from T-Mobile to USA. Okay, the Cox grant, I summarized it on one page. This gives you an overall description of the items that the committee's been working on for about, 4 weeks. All the counties have both had representation, as have the city. I would highlight a couple of things for you. We are getting what they call a cache of radios that can be used and positioned in the county so that if we have a major emergency and people will respond from outside the county, instead of them having to use their radios, we can give them these radios, which will be programmed to be consistent with ours. And right now that creates problems if people come in from outside the county. We're talking about having a GPS tracking system that can be worn by first responders as well as law enforcement when they go out stomping around in the woods and the mountains trying to locate people. And this system is a GPS system that'll be able to, a command center person will be able to track where these people are. And then again, as you can see, Carroll is, has 4 things that they've requested. And in the original grant, Carroll was approved or requested and got approved by the 911 Commission. They will actually get about $600,000 based on that commitment. We get a little over 300,000, 335 or so, and Galax gets 39,000. And that's for individual items specifically for those counties. That gives you an idea of where the $3 million will go. And as you can see, the Twin County update is $380,000. That's for CCOM. Carroll Dispatch, $250,000. That's for theirs. Login recorders, we're having to get 3 instead of 1. So that gives you an idea of the duplication that's being funded from this particular grant. Any questions about that information? Okay. The next item.
I'm sorry, one thing. Have these entities already seen this budget also?
Item 4, Mr. Warrior, you want to jump in on this one, or you want me to give you a letter?
I would say you can read the letter that we sent to the CEO of Gigabeam. Basically outlining, he believes, he has stated to us that he's done work that we don't have invoices for from the Tobacco Commission money. Is that T2?
Yeah.
T2. And he's provided a small number of invoices, which said, basically here's a kind of a cure notice to you. I can say it like that, I guess. You're gonna have to tell us these things before we are able to move forward with anything. If not, he hasn't responded. It's been a month.
Yeah.
About a month.
Tomorrow is the date. It's due.
Yeah. And I don't expect that he'll respond. We're having I'm not exactly sure how to move forward with that. But if he doesn't respond to this, then we'll take additional action to rectify the situation. So, that's really it. That's the letter. We're trying to communicate with Gigabeam because when we get the service is good. We're just not seeing a lot of activity or service from Gigabeam. Tom and I offered for the water plant off Beaver Dam Road. They need service back because they've been faxing the pools, whatever else there. And reached out to the landowners. All we did do was cut a tree down. Got all the landowners. And we offered to go out and cut the tree down ourselves. So we did get conservative. We just didn't respond. Adam, like it's not really receptive towards. So anyway, you can read the letter we sent. I don't expect a response. I expect we'll take the response. This is where we're at. It's not a great question. Okay. Anything else on that? No.
The fifth item.
Oh, and we're supposed to have a meeting with Adam this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never
On Wednesday. He said, I really want to meet with you guys, sit down, talk about all the issues.
Item 5 is informational. I had conversations with a company out of Raleigh that is doing a design plan for a Verizon tower that would be between Troutdale and the National Forest, right off of 16. But as the discussion continued, I learned that they will not proceed until they can get a second lease space on the tower along with Verizon. And I asked him, I said, well, would you consider another cell phone company? Because I was thinking about approaching US Cellular and saying, hey, they're going to build a tower. What about putting some equipment up there? And he informed me he would not lease to another cell service company. So I let you know about that because people in the community are beginning to hear about it and they're all got all kinds of questions. And so I just went straight to the developer and asked, what are the criteria? And he says, until we find a second one, it's dead in the water.
Tom, if there's been any luck at all in finding the second one, because I've had a lot of folks in Troutdale area because from Troutdale all the way to Marion, you don't have any cell service, and folks in Troutdale just don't really have a lot of options right now.
Mitchell, this tower, all the transmissions would be southwest, south, and southeast. They will not be able to transmit north over the state park.
Mm-hmm.
But they've had no success. They've been looking now for about 17 months. So I don't hold out a lot of expectation. I did get a commitment from the developer who is going to get it in writing to me that if they do build it and we want to put 911 equipment on it at some point, they would allow us to do that. So that would be, I think, a positive for us. So Mr. Ward, that ends the items, and we need to go to executive session.
Okay, and then, last thing, we did meet with Zytel, what was that, a couple weeks ago now?
3.
They're doing a lot of work in Carroll, and they contacted me again, asking for our GIS folks to do the layouts, so we're still trying to work with other vendors to see what. That's really the brief, get you up to date on everything. Outside of it, we'll talk about in the executive session. Any questions? From the board? Concerns? Any concerns right now? Keep working, get it done.
Yeah, I have some people giving me concerns, but obviously they're not open to fixing any of their concerns, so I don't think there's much we can do at this point.
I would ask you to make sure they do call me or that you give me their name, number, and address because we are looking at other ISPs. I mean, we're talking to Troutdale, Skybest, Comcast, Citizens, because if we could get an ISP to work with us, I could get them 50 to 70 customers within a month.
Oh, yeah.
Because there are pockets around our county that should be served that aren't being served. And
Well, I've got one, I'll get you after.
Yeah, if you don't mind, that'd be good, thank you. I'm keeping a file on all those, because if we can get an ISP in an area, we know these people, that just helps encourage those ISPs to come in and work with us.
Okay.
So to go into executive session, that we will have a code
I'm sorry.
on what it pertains to. Yeah.
Like, I
I
don't know,
better be
like, I don't know the code is real estate and HR. It's those two things. Landlords.
So big personnel, I guess.
Yeah, personnel and real estate.